Hello everyone and welcome to today's Italian grammar lesson, Introduction to Italian Verbs. In this lesson, we're going to learn about Italian verbs and where to start. Verbs have very different forms for each person. For example, in English, the verb to be conjugates as I am, you are, he is, and so on. The infinitive in English is with the word to. So the infinitive for running would be to run, to talk, to eat, to walk. However, the Italian infinitive ends with three suffixes, which are are, ere, and ire. So for example, essere, which is the infinitive to be, ends in ere. You see there's no to in front of the verb, so it tells you it's an infinitive because it has your suffix. Verbs in Italian can be either regular, which means they follow a certain pattern and rules, or they can be irregular, which means they deviate from pattern and rules. And this is what makes Italian a little bit difficult to learn when learning the verbs. But when you're learning Italian, you have to learn how to conjugate quite a few verbs before you can even begin to say or understand even the simplest things. It's quite hard, as I said, but it gets easier as it goes along. Are you ready? Good. Let's begin. The first verb we're going to look at is to be. So the verb is essere. Essere, conjugated. I am, you are, he, she, or it is, we are, you are, and they are. In Italian, the verb to be looks like this. Io sono, tu sei, lui, lei, or lei with a capital L, è, noi siamo, voi siete, loro sono. You can see that there's more variation than in the English form. However, you can see it says he, she, or it. In Italian, there's no it. It's just he or she. And this will be in another lesson where I explain to you that every noun is either masculine or feminine. However, you do see there's a third form in Italian, which is the lei with a capital L. This is when you're using the formal. So no matter if the third person is male or female, you will use lei. So while, for example, your brother is a lui and your sister is a lei, your male or female teacher or someone superior to you would both be using the word lei. And this is to show respect. So it's the respectful form. It's also the same with the plural loro. If it's a capital L, when you're talking to more than one person in a respectful manner, you will use loro. So what do you need to learn about verbs in order to speak and understand Italian? The first thing you need to know is your pronouns. And what are they? Io, tu, lui, lei, noi, voi, and loro. And secondly, you need to know the present form for the three types of regular verbs, plus the most frequent irregular verbs. So now there's some good news and some bad news. The good news is that some things we say in English, we don't usually need to say when we speak in Italian. So for example, I am Mara. I would say sono Mara. You don't need to use the pronoun io because unless you want to emphasize who you're talking about, you don't need to use it because the Italian conjugation of the verb tells you which pronoun you're using. Okay, the second good thing is that Italian has various present tenses, but you don't need to use them. So if you just know how to say io vado, and again, you don't need to say the io, we're just using it for emphasis at the moment. You say vado, it also means I'm going or I will go. Learning to conjugate your verbs in Italian is a pain, I know, and there are a lot of them, and it will take a long time before you can use them and understand them. But you will need to put effort in to memorize them. So here are some verbs that you need to memorize, and these are irregular. So essere, to be, avere, to have, fare, to do, and volere, to want. So memorize these 4 verbs to start with. Then you need to memorize some of the regular verbs, which is what you're going to be using to talk. So chiamare and chiamarsi, because how do you call yourself? So chiamarsi is your verb. So io mi chiamo, tu ti chiami, etc. Parlare, to speak. Abitare, to live. Lavorare, to work. Prendere, to take. Preferire, to prefer. So learn these verbs and you will start to speak. How do you memorize these verbs? You'll have to find a way that suits you. Example, maybe you can write the verbs on a piece of paper and then keep testing yourself all the time until you get used to them, or you could record yourself reading them and listen to yourself over and over again. It doesn't matter how you do it. The main thing is that you do it day in and day out, and always test yourself. So pick these verbs, do them for a week, and at the end of the week, test yourself. Make sure that you keep revising them, because that will help you keep them in your head. Okay, good. Allora, saluti, alla prossima. I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao.